Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3.
You know, when I'm thinking about this speaker, think about a name for it. Not that I was thinking I need a name for it, but that I thought of a name for it, which is Back in Black. I tell you what, it just, boy, oh boy, the way this thing looks, it looks like it means business. And with this, dark wood grain and these utilitarian looking drivers, I mean, yeah, it looks like Back in Black to me, that's for sure. So anyway, it does kind of lead me off in another direction though. And you're here to watch speaker building stuff, I know. But I want to tell you, the biggest changing point in my life for kind of that love for speakers and sound systems was actually when the AC/DC Back in Black album came out. So that's 1980. At the time I had like a really crummy pair of York speakers. They were like tower speakers, a couple 8-inch full ranges in them, and I don't know, some kind of, I think maybe a tweeter up top, but yeah, I was, man, I got that Back in Black album and I was cranking that thing all the time. And it kind of really got me loving sound systems and music. I had, that was a period of time in my life when it was first everything, my parents had just got divorced. I was living with my 20-year-old brother. It was just him and I. A lot of firsts. And I'm not going to go into details as far as what all that entails, but suffice to say that rock and roll became a huge, huge part of my life. And and with that came the sound system to back it up. So I was working in a garage in a service station. Back then you pull up to the pump and I would come out and greet you and, how can I help you today? Hey, fill it up and check the oil, clean my windows. So yeah, service station stuff, light mechanic, changing oil and whatnot. Yeah, saving up my money though, and kept going to this stereo store by me. It was called the Stereo Studio, and there were several of them in this area. Fantastic stuff. Great bang for the buck, budget audiophile type stuff. Some higher end stuff as well, but their big thing was Sound Dynamics and Harmon Kardon. And they had other stuff there too, like the Klipsch and all that kind of thing, Kefs and whatnot, Hafler. But it was, it was that Harmon Kardon stuff and the Sound Dynamics that I really liked. So I bought a Harmon Kardon PM 660 amp, which was, they called it, I think, high current capability. And so this thing, it was rated at 80 watts per channel. And wow, I mean, but I think it had actually like a max output, something like near 400 or something like that. I don't really remember. All I know is it was a beast, and it could power like almost any speaker and make it sound fantastic. Well, the speakers I chose, now this is what, the guy's name was Vic. And if he ever watches this video, he'll know what I'm talking about here. But basically, he's like, look, he's like, because I was a teenager, right? I didn't have much money. And he was like, look, bang for the buck. He's like, I don't even know if that was a term back then, but essentially what he told me, he's like, honestly, he's like, the speakers are 80% of what you're going to hear. That's like 80% of the sound. And that might not have been a scientific thing to say. It might not even be 100% accurate. I don't know. But I'll tell you what, intuitively, it really makes a lot of sense. So that being said, he pointed me in the direction of those Sound Dynamics 12S's, which at the time, I don't know, I think they were maybe like $600, maybe $700 for the pair. And that's 1980 money. So that's a lot of money for a teenager. And then to power them, he said, you're going to need some clean, good power. And he showed me the Harmon Kardon receivers, because those are understated receivers too. Yeah, so anyway, I'm like, well, what do you suggest? And there was one amp setup that was even beyond what I bought. But the PM660 that was like $800 and some odd dollars, I think, that and the tuner that went with it. Yeah, we listened to a lot of FM back then. And I saved up and just kept going back in the store, putting money down on that setup, and finally got the chance to get it home. Oh man, I'm telling you what, wow. I mean, the sound that thing put out, unbelievable. And I would bring that thing outside, I would bring it to people's apartments, I would bring it to friends' homes. Yeah, I'd lug that stuff around. I was a big boy at the time. I was a football player, and you know, I could carry that stuff no problem. Now, no, I would be like, nah, it's staying here. But yeah, man, that really put me in that direction of my passion for, you know, just loud and proud music, man. And these speakers, I think, are really representative of that. They're certainly not a Sound Dynamics 12S, but I think that, you know, for what I need them for, I think that they're going to sound pretty good. They might even get louder or be punchier than Sound Dynamics. I'm not sure, but it's yeah, the way it looks is what I was thinking of, and what brought me to the whole Back in Black thing. Kind of a whole, it's like a whole mind shift, you know. It's like a turning point, a fork in the road. What is this chapter in your life going to bring you to? Where you know, what's happening right now at this moment, like how is that going to affect you 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road? And I wouldn't trade any bit of it, you know, because I'm a believer, and I believe in divine providence. So anyway, that's not what this channel is about, obviously, and I'm not going to get into that. But that being said, I wouldn't trade anything in my past, not a single thing, because it all led up to today, to this moment, to being here right now with you, with, you know, grandchildren and a son and a daughter-in-law and my wife and friends and family coming over this evening. And yeah, I mean, blessed. I'm absolutely blessed. I'm going to honor that kind of concept with the Back in Black t-shirt, my Back in Black speakers, and what I've got to do on these things is actually flip the polarity of the mid-ranges. Right now, everything's positive, negative, positive, negative, positive, negative, but the mid-range is running a little bit hot, and I want to flip the polarity on it and see if that improves it. So that's what this speaker building video is for. After I do that, now it's not going to be this video, maybe later on, but like on that big speaker back there, and I know it doesn't look big in the video, but it's, I mean, it's sitting next to this one, it dwarfs this thing. But that one there, I had some trouble taming the mid-range on that one and getting the bass to match up to it nice. And what wound up doing the trick was reversing that mid-range and then putting a Zobel network on each driver. So that's kind of the same course I'm going to take on this one. Is I'm going to go ahead and first flip the polarity of the mid-range, see what difference that makes, and then, you know, later, another video, I'll go ahead and do Zobels on them. All right, cool. Thanks for joining me. Okay, so my job right now is going to be to go ahead and measure this speaker. Well, yeah, measure either one of them, and take that sweep, and then go ahead and flip the polarity of the mid-range, and then sweep it again and compare the two. That's basically what I'm trying to accomplish in this video, is just, you know, whether or not flipping the polarity of the mid-range makes a noticeable improvement on my overall frequency response. All right, well, I guess I'm about as set up as I need to be. I've got the mic 3 feet away from the speaker. It's about centered with that speaker cabinet. Let's see, I got the Dayton Omni mic here. I've got the Dayton Omni mic software running off of my NAD DVD player, running through HDMI ARC to an NAD receiver. I usually test these things at about the volume level, like not super loud, maybe like -20 or so, sometimes -15. Yeah, so let's go ahead and do a full sweep of this speaker. All right, I'm going to try to explain kind of how I use this to do frequency sweeps. I might not be doing it the correct way, but anyway, I'll show you kind of what I've been doing. I know that there's some other software out there that's been recommended, and I'm going to try that too. This I'm just kind of used to, so that's why I'm using it now. But it's called Spectroid, and it's just like a simple app, and it probably does way more than I'm using it for. But anyway, you hit the play button and it plays back. I reset the red hold line, and then, you know, the more you talk or the more sound it picks up, then it starts to just leave it behind on this red line. So that's the way that works. So anyway, let me reset this. I got to establish at least a reference level here. And you can't see what I'm doing, but basically I'm just running through this software to find a 50 hertz tone, which seems to work the best. And going through the receiver, just so you know, that receiver is just set to direct. There's zero EQ or anything going on. All right, let's try. All right, that's -10. Let's try -15 on the receiver. Looks like that's giving us -71 dB at 50 hertz. All right, there's -70 right on the dot. All right, so that's going to be our reference line. You can't see the monitor I'm looking at, but basically I'm going to a test signal called long sweep, and I'm just going to choose that left speaker, which, like I say, it's set up to run full range through the NAD. Everything's set to direct. There's zero influence going on there in terms of any kind of enhancements or processing or anything. So just kind of want to explain that. Okay, I just hit the pause line so that it holds that red line. And I'll bring it in a little bit closer so you can see it. I know it's glary. I'll throw a screenshot of that up. It'll make it a lot easier for you to see. Do a screenshot of this guy. Basically what we're looking at is this giant hump in here. That's what I'm going to try to bring down by reversing the polarity of the mid-range. I don't know if it'll work or not. I have a 4 ohm resistor that is running in series with my 4 ohm tweeter, and you can see that that's a bit attenuated. But what I'm just trying to accomplish right now is just trying to bring this area here down a little bit in sound pressure level. And one of the things that reversing the polarity does is that it also knocks out 3 dB. So that's pretty sure it's 3 dB. If I'm wrong, correct me in the comments below. All right, let's go ahead and flip the polarity of this mid-range. See what happens. One thing about this mid-range is that it's got different size terminals. You know, the connectors are different size for the mid-range positive and negative leads. So in order to flip this, I do need to either make an adapter with another piece of wire, or you know, cut this, strip it back, and put a new terminal end on it that matches that. Right now, because this is just a test, I'm just gonna make a patch cord between these two so that I can flip polarity just to test it. Then if I like that, then I'll go ahead and do it permanently. But for right now, I'm just testing it, so I don't need to do that. All right, I gotta go grab my, whatchamacallit. We're going to take the one that was going on the negative side of the speaker. Okay, now we're going to be flipping it over to the positive side of the speaker. My negative lead is coming in on this side. I'm going to hook it up here. All right, it's going to travel down this wire. Instead of that negative side running to the negative side of the tweeter, the negative wire is going to be running to the positive side of the tweeter. Okay, so that's one side. Now the other side is just the opposite of that. So where the positive coming in from the crossover used to go to the positive on the tweeter, right? Now instead it's going to go to the negative side. I'm just leave all this a mess for now. Okay, now these here are a little bit stretched out. We got to fix up those. I'm just going to give them a little tweak back in shape. Not too tight or I'll never get them on. Oh, that one went kind of tight. Now, let's see if I can get it on there. Gonna be a little bit of a juggling act here, folks. But like I say, we're running to the positive side with the negative wire. So we're reversing the polarity on this Dayton reference midrange. Okay, good enough for testing. I know these clear things are kind of more for automotive use, but I do like them. I like knowing that the ends are protected. That one is still loose as a goose. What does that saying mean anyway? Whoever thought of that? All right, hopefully that does it. And voila. Okay. And if you're wondering if it matters which direction these go, no, it doesn't really matter. But what does matter is aesthetically making sure it looks the way you want it to. And for me, I think I liked it like this, where it looks kind of symmetrical. This one is kind of the other way though. I wonder if it would work like that. No, not really. That's funky. You'd think being the same series that it would match up a little bit better, but it does look cool the way it is. I'm not complaining. Well, it sounds like I'm complaining, but I don't mean to be complaining. I guess sometimes I just have a little bit of a, not a negative attitude, a little bit skeptical of certain things. Curious, you know what I mean? One thing I like about this drill is this little clutch, and I can set it, you know, pretty soft. Just gotta nail those screws, get them on center, right? And I'm not making these smoking tight because I'm going to be taking them back out. As long as it seals, that's what matters. Okay, well, I'm going to check to see what this speaker is doing in terms of the frequency response with the mid-range polarity flipped. And all I'm doing is centering up this microphone. Better recheck the distance just to make sure that has not changed. And it looks to be 36 inches, but it is moved just a little bit during the process of my shuffling around. All right, yeah, that's about where it was. So like level with the mid-range kind of, and 36 inches away, or approximately 1 meter. I've got the screen where you can hopefully see it better. And I'll put up a screenshot too, of course. And I guess we'll use this green line here. Let's look at our highest point, which was occurring, what, around the 1000 hertz mark? Yeah, so a little bit more. So roughly 1100 hertz. Looks like we had our biggest peak with that mid-range, the way it was. So let's see what it is doing now. Same volume and everything. All right, let's go ahead and, should we run it against this one first to see what happens? We could try that. So not a big difference. I'm not sure what that little gap is for. All right, let's try to reset this thing and see what we get. Well, we could kind of look at them side by side now, and then I'll throw them in the video. I'm kind of interested to see if it changed it at all. This one was taken at 2:22 p.m. this afternoon. This one was the one I just took. So that's with the mid-range polarity reversed. And that's with it the way it was. Pretty wild the way it changes that response, huh? It does look like it's trying to tie in with the tweeter a little bit better through this range. So that's probably going to be that's going to have a big influence on the sound for sure. Let's try to look at this area here from where it was spiking before. Actually, let's see that spike. So 4 dB, yeah, about a 4 dB drop there. So yeah, so flipping the polarity of that did bring it down. You know, I think textbook is 3 dB. I don't know how accurate all this stuff that I have going on here is, but you can tell it's right in that range. Now this area from here back, let's see how it changes that. Okay, so that's before. And we kind of got a downward slope here. And this is it now. Right on that reference line, which is wild. So it looks like what it did was maybe it moved that kind of peak back a little bit, kind of squished it, stretched this out a little bit. Now, what needs to happen is we need to really, probably next few videos, is try and straighten this out, this mess out. It's not awful, but it's not what I want. Okay, now we've got this pretty big suck out here though too. Well, we had one there before too. It just gets bigger and worse. So honestly, this area in here, your mid-bass region, was actually better with it hooked up with the correct polarity. And then when I flip the polarity, the high end definitely smoothed out a little bit, dropped down, but it kind of made this a little bit more erratic. And this is very similar to what happened in my last speaker cabinet, three-way Jensen. It did exhibit this same kind of suck out here, and what I did was twofold. I actually had modified the crossover so that its high pass was further down, like near 100, and it picked this up, and then I installed Zobel networks on everything, and it really cleaned up quite a bit. But yeah, this is just, hey, Farrah Fawcett. Yeah. Did you guys ever have a poster of her? And yeah, Farrah Fawcett. Wow, those were the days, huh? All right, so there's where we were at 222. And here's where we are now. I think really the only improvement is probably in this region. Just flattening that out a little bit. And then let's take a look at the next octave, which is 400 to 1,000. 400 to 1,000, it actually did drop the SPL. Yeah, okay. So that is good. All right, what's next? The next octave, 400 to 200. So this is where we're at now. Should we see Farrah Fawcett again, or see the other speaker? Oh boy, that's a picture. All right, let's see. Over here. All right, is it much, if any, change here? From 400 to 200. No, there's not a huge change, although there is this area here, little suck out thing that happens. So in sound pressure, yeah, it is actually a little bit lower sound pressure in that area as well. Okay. Well, you know what this might do? It might, for now, do exactly what I had wanted it to do, was bring down this entire region. And so it's not a perfect flat line, but for right now, I think that I accomplished what I needed to accomplish, which was to bring down the sound pressure level of the mid-range. So I think we'll listen to it now. Okay, groovy. So we're going off the digital there, and now we're coming back to my royalty-free stuff, which is Epidemic Sound. And I'm going to have to turn off this lapel mic too and go back to the phone mic. Okay, so you're back on the Pixel 7 microphone, and we're going to listen to some speakers. Let's move this thing kind of in the middle. All right, so I'm just going to throw on this, just whatever comes up here.
It's been 20 years and I still don't know my place. Y es que desde cuando yo llevo preguntando si me están aceptando, si este es mi país. Y es que desde cuando yo llevo preguntando si me están aceptando, si este es mi país. Cuando era mi abuelo lo dejaron venir. Cuando era mi abuelo lo dejaron venir. Y ahora que soy yo ya no saben qué decir. Y ahora que soy yo ya no saben qué decir. Cuando era mi abuelo lo dejaron venir. Cuando era mi abuelo lo dejaron venir. Y ahora que soy yo ya no saben qué decir. Y ahora que soy yo ya no saben qué decir. Y es que desde cuando yo llevo preguntando si me están aceptando, si este es mi país. Y es que desde cuando yo llevo preguntando si me están aceptando, si este es mi país.
big riddle of the future and what's been. Guess it's the way it goes, and I will never know why you let me go. Look to the left, look to the right, nothing can stop me in the night, like I'm leaving all the bad stuff and trying to remain so strong. I know it's good if I'm alone. I got it, running to better times. Go, from my emotions. I'll go, running to better times, to better times, to better times, to better times, to better times. Maybe I was blind, known you forever while I tried to find someone that could be my great love. Right in front of me, I didn't realize you were my dream, so you took me by surprise. Oh yeah, giving you my wildest dreams, writing in things we were destined to be, and now you're laying next to me. Everything feels like oh there, wanna give you every part of me. I can't believe this is reality, and now you're laying next to me. Everything feels like oh there. I'm just curious, when did you know you had feelings for me?
All right, that wraps it up for me. I think that I'm going to do some listening. I'm going to go ahead and flip the polarity on the other mid-range, listen to it a bit, probably do some more sweeps in that, but that's for another video. This one here, I'll chalk this up as a win. Right now I'm looking forward to switching out the other one and then hearing it. So I know for sure that flipping the polarity on this mid-range did bring down the decibel level a little bit, which is what I wanted to accomplish. The frequency response graph, whether or not it's better or worse, at this point, does it concern me? Well, obviously, but there's not much I can do about it right at this moment, because right now I'm just trying to bring down the sound pressure level. Once I do that, then I can spend a little more time trying to, smooth out that frequency response. And that's one thing about, speaker building. And whether you are using off-the-shelf crossovers or crossovers that you build, when it comes to the final sound of that system, you'd probably be surprised at how capable almost any driver can be. But especially when you get into, say, better, this is probably kind of a mid-range component arrangement. The Designer Series woofer, Reference Series Midrange, Reference Series tweeter, the La Spada crossover with the fancy air inductor coils and, big poly caps, the box all braced, sound deadened, insulated. This is a pretty good, foundation here for taking it to that next level and trying to really flatten out that frequency response. So it's not just about slamming stuff together and then, wow, it sounds terrific, There's always that kind of transition between the first final assembly and the last final assembly, let's say. Anyway, I'm on the downward slope of this project, and I'm really looking forward to hearing them when they're about as good as I care to make them. Anyway, yeah, this worked out okay, and I think we did learn positively that flipping that mid-range did bring down that mid-range sound pressure level. So anyway, if you like this video, awesome. I am glad that you're watching. Give me a thumbs up. Go ahead, hit that notification button if you're not already done that. And if you're not a subscriber, I would just ask you to subscribe because I don't put out a ton of videos, but when they do come out, if you dug this one, maybe you'll dig the next one too. So anyway, thanks again for watching.